Mercédès begged for 6 months more in which to await and mourn for Edmond. "So that," said the abbé with a bitter smile, "that makes 18 months in all. What more could the most devoted lover desire?" Then he murmured the words of an English poet, "Frailty, thy name is woman." 6 months afterward, continued Caderousse, the marriage took place in the church of Acul. "The very church in which she was to have married Edmond," murmured the priest. "There was only a change of bridegrooms." "Well, Mercédès was married," proceeded Caderousse, "but although in the eyes of the world she appeared calm, she nearly fainted as she passed La Réserve, where, 18 months before, the betrothal had been celebrated with him whom she might have known she still loved, had she looked to the bottom of her heart. Fernand, more happy, but not more at his ease, for I saw at this time he was in constant dread of Edmond's return. Fernand was very anxious to get his wife away, and to depart himself. There were too many unpleasant possibilities associated with the Catalans, and 8 days after the wedding they left Marseilles. "Did you ever see Mercédès again?" inquired the priest. "Yes, during the Spanish War at Perpignan, where Fernand had left her. She was attending to the education of her son." The abbé started. "Her son," said he. "Yes," replied Caderousse, "little Albert. But then, to be able to instruct her child," continued the abbé, "she must have received an education herself. I understood from Edmond that she was the daughter of a simple fisherman, beautiful but uneducated." "Oh," replied Caderousse, "did he know so little of his lovely betrothed? Mercédès might have been a queen, sir, if the crown were to be placed on the heads of the loveliest and the most intelligent. Fernand's fortune was already waxing great, and she developed with his growing fortune. She learned drawing, music, everything. Besides, I believe, between ourselves, she did this in order to distract her mind, that she might forget, and she only filled her head in order to alleviate the weight on her heart. But now, her position in life assured," continued Caderousse, "no doubt fortune and honors have comforted her. She is rich, a countess, and yet—" Caderousse paused. "And yet what?" asked the abbé. "Yet I am sure she is not happy," said Caderousse. "What makes you believe this?" "Why, when I found myself utterly destitute, I thought my old friends would, perhaps, assist me. So I went to Danglars, who would not even receive me. I called on Fernand, who sent me 100 francs by his valet de chambre." "Then you did not see either of them?" "No, but Madame de Morcerf saw me." "How was that?" "As I went away, a purse fell at my feet. It contained 25 louis. I raised my head quickly and saw Mercédès, who at once shut the blind." "And Monsieur de Villefort?" asked the abbé. Whoa, going into what a way to end today's episode. I wish it was the way to end the chapter. Just ending on that last question, and now the one I want to know the most about, Villefort. Where's that motherfucker? But we still have 2 episodes left of this chapter, so maybe we will learn a bit about Villefort. To my understanding, Caderousse didn't know anything about Villefort. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he learned something over the course of Morel going to see him over and over and over again, but I guess we'll wait and see. The bigger news here is Mercédès marries Fernand, and they have a child together. And Mercédès using her resources to better herself, not just in her position and wealth, but actually learning all of these things that, I think were fairly, I wouldn't say common at the time, but, as far as women's education was concerned in the 1800s, specifically, not that I know a whole lot about this. I've just read a number of Jane Austen novels and can, know that there's a certain expectation to learn music and literature and be able to converse on topics of art and music, and drawing was a big thing at the time. These were quote-unquote accomplishments that I think played into the, society games, the socialite games of the time, how you were perceived among your aristocratic peers. You can imagine holding these large banquets or galas, these balls, even just dinner with other important people, and you have to, quote-unquote, hold court with others at the table. And so the more you know about a variety of topics, the more you can engage them, play a better host, and keep your influence over those people and yourself. One thing I found kind of interesting here was Dante's use of Shakespeare. Frailty, thy name is woman, is a quote from Hamlet. I think that really goes to show the influence that Shakespeare had over all of literature and the arts of the time, but also showing that Dante is able to kind of, he's kind of murmuring this to himself. So he's recalling these literary references not for effect. He's murmuring them and recalling them out of just response. They are now part of his mental Rolodex that he just uses and come to him instinctually. And I know this is so not the point, but Mercédès and Fernand have a child, little Albert. Listen, I know that's not, Albert isn't an uncommon name in France, but Albert maybe, sounds better in French if you are going to be speaking that, and I have my stupid Midwestern American accent. But little Albert just seems so unromantic. But good to know that Mercédès is educating him as well. Fingers crossed that Albert comes up more with his mother's traits than his father's. Because, as we kind of rounded out today's passage, clearly Mercédès still has charity in her heart. Not only is she furthering herself in terms of using her wealth for resources and education, but is willing to give a hand to someone even like Caderousse, who I have to imagine, Caderousse would never say this in his story here, but she's going to Daddy Dante's apartment all the time. She has to know that Caderousse lives right there and isn't doing much at all. And so it really is a kind of a pitiful charity to Caderousse when he comes asking for money. She's giving him something that is a big deal to him, probably not a big deal to her, even though she's like, what have you ever really done, sir? But I can't sit by. I'm not going to sit by and watch somebody else waste away the way that you sat by and watched Daddy Dante waste away. I'm putting my own judgment here on this. Anyway, let's just continue here tomorrow with the penultimate episode of chapter 27. Until then, you know where to find me. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.